At the bottom of Lake Lanier lies a graveyard of almost fully intact towns, ferries, cemeteries, and even a racetrack. The government, in their determination to create Lake Lanier, bought up entire towns in order to clear the space for the lake after they received congressional approval in 1946. However, they just decided to let the water cover up the towns rather than demolish them. Over the years, many things have bubbled up from the remains that lie at the bottom of the lake. In 1990, a car with human bones inside rose to the surface of Lake Lanier. After an investigation, it was determined that the car belonged to Susie Roberts, who had disappeared along with Delia Parker in the 1950s. The pair have come to be known as the Ladies of the Lake. I'm Ashley McLaughlin, and I'm gonna tell you a ghost story. This is Southern Haunts. Built in the 1950s, Lake Lanier is a man-made lake with an eerie past. Sitting about 60 miles north of Atlanta, the lake was constructed to provide navigation, flood control, hydroelectricity, and water supply for the southern metropolis. It was designed, developed, and constructed by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers as part of a wider river development that was taking place after the Second World War. The lake spans more than 600 miles of shoreline and borders 5 counties, including Hall, Forsyth, Dawson, Gwinnett, and Lumpkin, making it the largest lake in the state of Georgia. In order to create space for the giant lake, a handful of towns were emptied of their residents and flooded. Entire communities now sit at the bottom of the lake. On April 16, 1958, just 2 years after the Jerry D. Jackson Bridge opened up over the lake, Susie Smallwood Roberts picked up Delia Mae Parker Young in her 1954 blue Ford for a little girls' night out fun. The two wanted to cause some trouble. Delia even borrowed Susie's blue chiffon dress just for the occasion. After spending some time at a Dalton County dive called the Three Gables, the ladies were spotted at a nearby gas station where they allegedly left without paying. The duo then went on a bit of a joyride. The radio was up, the windows were down, and Susie and Delia were having a great time on that warm southern night. Neither of them knew that their night of fun would be coming to a screeching halt real soon. Only a few miles away from the gas station, skid marks could be seen along the road close to the bridge on Dawsonville Highway. It appeared that Susie's car had crossed over the center line and skidded off the side of the road and into the lake below. Police searched the water relentlessly, but couldn't find any sign of the women. A little over a year later, a fisherman spotted something floating in the water. He went after it, thinking it was debris of some kind left by uncaring visitors. The fisherman soon discovered that what he was seeing was the bloated body of a woman face down in the murky lake water. Because of how long the body had been submerged in the lake, identification proved to be impossible due to the condition of the body. But she was missing 2 toes on the left foot and had no hands. The body was buried in an unmarked grave in the Alta Vista Cemetery. Immediately, reports started coming in of visitors seeing the ghostly figure of a woman with no hands roaming the bridge at night. She was even wearing a blue dress. In 1990, a construction crew was conducting repairs on the bridge when they made a gruesome discovery. They pulled a 1950s-style Ford from the depth of 110 feet. The car was badly mangled by the construction equipment that dug it up. Workers were washing mud out of the car when they came across something they would never forget. As they pried the doors to the car open, human skeletal remains tumbled onto the ground. Upon examination, Gerald Gawat, the Fulton County medical examiner, said the bones were apparently those of Susie Roberts. And for further confirmation, the car had a 1958 license plate, and according to the sheriff's office, it matched the vehicle registered to Susie Roberts. The unmarked grave of the other woman found in the lake so many years ago was replaced with a new headstone for Delia Mae Parker Young, based on the discovery of Susie Roberts' body. Even though both women were finally given a proper burial, Delia is still seen wandering on the bridge in her blue dress. She is described as lost in the dark and searching. Even though both women were finally given a proper burial, Delia is still seen wandering on the bridge above the lake in her blue dress. She is described as lost in the dark and searching. But what is she searching for? Her hands? Her friend? Her way back to her family? Hugh Roberts, Susie's now 49-year-old son, said it was a relief to know where she was. Hugh and his brother James, 51, both of Gainesville, Georgia, were teenagers when their mother disappeared. She was only 38 years old. The men say they always knew their mother was there, at the bottom of the lake, trapped in a watery grave several miles underneath hundreds of tourists. There are several ghost stories that center around Lake Lanier and its strange creation. One ghost, named Agnes, is backed by a handful of contradictory stories, from hanging herself at her university not far from the lake to drowning herself due to unrequited love. Another tale says 88 people died in a 1903 accident and may still be haunting the area, according to the Gainesville Times. Perhaps the curse of Lake Lanier started with the creation of the man-made lake. It was plagued from problems from the beginning. During the 5 years it took for the lake to fill to its intended water level, the U.S. government purchased more than 50,000 acres of farmland, which ultimately displaced more than 250 families, 15 businesses, and supposedly, they relocated 20 cemeteries along with their corpses in the process. Many of the buildings and roads that were flooded out during the lake's creation were left as is. Along the lake's bottom, one can eerily find towns complete with roads, walls, and houses intact, like a watery, abandoned ghost town. An estimated 7 million people visit the lake each year for a little escape and relaxation. Despite its recreational purpose, Lake Lanier has a dark past that halts people from diving too deep into its murky waters. A handful of grave sites had been submerged, according to a report from Newsweek, further fueling suspicions from locals that the lake could be haunted. Since the lake's opening, an estimated 675 people have died, and not all of the bodies have been found. Some people who have almost drowned in the water of Lake Lanier describe the experience as if they were being pulled underwater, or held there without having any control. There have been many rumors that ghosts linger at nighttime on the lake. Whether it be the lady of the lake moaning without any hands, or the ghostly raft that has been seen appearing and disappearing at night for decades. The sinister smear that these stories and more hold is what ultimately led Lake Lanier to earn the title of being cursed.